BookTube. Let's talk about the Book of Strange New Things by Michel Faber.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
The Book of Strange New Things. I don't often do reviews, but I thought that I would review this because it really impacted me in a way that I don't think it impacts a lot of people. I wouldn't have read it had I not seen it on Patty's channel at I Smell Books. She is a wonderful person, does amazing reviews. So she's linked below. So go enjoy the pleasure that is Patty. This is a story about a man who is named Peter and his wife Bee. And Peter is the pastor of a small church in the UK. This is set somewhat in the future, and a big corporation has set up a mining base on another planet. On this planet are, I'm going to call them aliens for lack of a better word, but they are indigenous to the planet. And they have been introduced to the Bible. They call it the Book of Strange New Things, and they are insistent that the corporation provide them with someone who can explain it to them. And in return, they will trade things that are on the planet that the corporation needs. Both Peter and Bee are interviewed for this position, and Peter is chosen, but Bee is not. So they go through a very involved process of praying about it, thinking about it, seeking God's will about it, and they come to the conclusion that Peter should go. So then Peter goes to the planet and begins his short-term ministry there to this indigenous population. Throughout the course of the book, Peter corresponds with Bee, and so that's his experience with the Oasins, and his conversations with Bee via email are the basis of the story. Now, the reason this impacted me so much is because I am married to a man who is a minister. And I saw so many of the themes that Faber addresses in his book that are present in my life right now. I was amazed at the way a secular book could address these themes in such a realistic and true way. He really captured the essence of what this experience is like. The thing about it is simply this. When you have two married people in ministry, you have kind of a partnership, and one partner makes up for the shortcomings of the other. And you see this in the book. There are times when Peter wishes that Bee was there because she knows how to handle these sorts of situations, and he's not as good at it. When you split up the partnership, there are gaping holes that are left in the ministry. The thing that really impacted me in this story was Bee. And that's because Bee is caught in a situation that I think a lot of partners in ministry are caught in. Like I say, when you split up the partnership, even if it's for a very good reason, you split up the ministry and there are gaping holes, and the one left doing the ministry has to compensate, and sometimes that's an overwhelming thing. For Peter was hit with a culture shock that far surpasses any missionary situation here on earth. He was not just confronted with a new environment with things on some relatable level. He was thrust into a new planet with a new atmosphere and aliens that don't look anything like us, that don't have any context for the stories in the Bible. Jesus taught through stories. They don't have a clue as to what he's talking about when he talks about loaves and fishes. They don't have anything like that on their planet. So it's up to Peter to really communicate the gist of these stories while he's on this foreign planet, and he's on the base some of the time, but he's completely overwhelmed to the extent where he can't even communicate effectively what's going on to Bee. Bee, in the meantime, is continuing the work that they had in the UK with the same people. And it's difficult for her to understand why Peter doesn't get it, why he doesn't seem to care nearly as much about what's going on in the place that he's always been. And it's because he's so overwhelmed. She gets that, but it's still hard. And the added problem is that Bee not only has to compensate and work harder in that ministry, but she's got the added guilt of wanting Peter to be there, and yet knowing that they both came to the conclusion that it was God's will for Peter to go. What are you going to do? Argue with God? This is so elemental in ministry today for couples who have to do ministry, and one either gets caught up in another focus, and the partnership again is separated on some level, or one of the partners has to go somewhere else, like Peter did, to do ministry. Of course, they usually come together and agree that this is God's will. You know, it's just an impossible situation for the one partner who is left to continue the ministry where there was formerly a partnership and now there is not. Peter begins the process of coming to grips with this. And so through the course of the story, he has to decide essentially whether the ministry is more important or his wife. And that's a tough call in ministry for most pastors. And it's a very key reason why a lot of marriages in ministry break up. I couldn't believe that a man could address that so expertly in a secular book. I was floored. And not only is it impacting to me for that reason, but it's so beautifully written that I couldn't help but be amazed by it on both fronts. So that is why I gave The Book of Strange New Things 5 stars. There are so many great things in this book that you can take away as any kind of a person involved in any kind of a situation, ministry or not, real world or not. It's just such a good book, and I can highly recommend it, especially for people in ministry like me. So let me know what you thought of this book if you read it, and do you identify with any of those themes? And if not, what themes did you identify with, if any? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So that's it for now from me. I will see you tomorrow, and thanks for watching.
When I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.